bad. Good.
Alright, welcome back to the channel. So it's Monday morning. Hope everybody's gonna have a good week. I know that we are slammed. So if anybody has time for sale, I'm buying it. And I'm paying cash for any free time. I need extra time, more daylight hours. Alright, so we're in the paint booth this morning. We're gonna go over this. We're about to spray out a golf cart body, and we're gonna do this with some rainbow flop metallics. And we are actually doing this for Chris Kenny. If you know the Night Train, if you've ever seen the Grudge car, pretty sick car. So if you haven't seen it, look it up. He's going with a silver. This was his wife's request, I believe. I don't want to pin it on him, the rainbow metallics, even though I like it. So it gives it that holographic look, you know, like you see a holographic card, whatever. It really pops in the sun. It changes all the different colors, so it's gonna look sick. But I kind of wanted to take y'all on this journey this morning and show y'all. It had some scratches down here, some pretty deep gouges in the plastic, so we went ahead and did a little dolphin glaze work and then just put some 2K primer on them areas. Everything else was fine. You have really small nicks and stuff, but obviously most people are not trying to put an arm and leg into making a show quality golf cart that your kids are probably going to be running around the racetrack or running around the house on. So, and with this silver, the silver is going to be so bright and it's going to pop so hard that you're not going to see any small imperfections that's left behind. And by imperfections, I mean, let me show y'all if anybody's wondering. We're talking little gouges like this in the paint. Okay, so this is sanded and it's flat across the top, but it's just not filled. You know, normally you have a seat that sits here and all that, so you're just not going to see that stuff when it's done, and nobody should be nitpicking it. We took care of all the major stuff, but obviously we're not doing a show quality. If you were paying a shop to go through and fix all these nicks, tiny nicks, and just get this thing 100%, you know, flawless. This is underneath the hinges where the hinges bolt down. Obviously you don't care about that because you can bolt hinges right back on and the seat's going to go over it. You'd probably be looking at every bit of $1,000 to $1,500 if you were paying a shop to completely get this back. So we don't want to spend that much on a freaking golf cart, or at least I don't think most of us on this channel would want to spend that on a golf cart. So we've got everything sanded out slick. We're going to go mix up the paint, and we're going to lay some Bulldog down first and get this thing shot. This is the product I lay down first. This is the Bulldog adhesion promoter. It just helps paint sticks, helps make it flexible. You can paint right over it in 5 minutes. So being this is a golf cart body and it has it's going to have a lot of movement to it and play and flexing, you know, and you know it's going to take some abuse probably of being rode around daily or on the weekends. We just wanted to make sure that we do everything in our power to make sure this paint sticks, even though we scuffed the whole thing. Now we scuffed it down with 400, and then we come in here with just a burgundy Scotch-Brite pad like this to, you know, finish it out. We washed everything down with soap and water. So that's the step processes that we did to get to where we're at. Then we're gonna do Bulldog, and now I'm gonna lay down a drop coat of so all your drop coat is it can either be old paint that you had laying around, or it could be cheap paint, it could be mix match paint, or you can get an actual tinted silver. So I buy from NCS, National Coating and Supply in Wilmington, and they do make a product called VAP Seal that they actually can mix to your color. So they would mix me a bright silver if I wanted to. You know, so whatever you choose to use, that's called your drop coat. All it is you're just dropping a coat down so you can build on top of. The back half of the golf cart's green, front half's tan. So if you just roll right over it with your actual color that you're using, it's going to take a lot more to get your coverage, and it's going to eat up your profits if you're doing it for profit, or it's going to eat up your supply if you're paying out your pocket. So you want to use either scrap or something that's made to drop down. being we're going over green and tan and we're doing a silver, you could drop down a white, or I imagine you could actually, yeah, you could probably drop down a black if you wanted to, because silver will cover black so aggressive that it'll be amazing. White might take a little bit more because of the green back half of the golf cart. If you drop white down first, it's going to be a little darker white than the front tan part, but not that big of a deal. I'll probably either drop down a silver, or I'll see if I have some black sitting here, and if so, I'll probably drop down a black, because silver will cover it so fast and so aggressive. So we're gonna get a drop coat laid down and then move on to our actual color. Here is the color that we dropped down first. It is a darker color, but it does have some silvers and some grays in it. The color that they picked in the can looks really dark. When he sent it to me, it looked really bright, like a bright silver, but I think it's just because the metallics are so fine that it's got a darker flop, and then the silver in the sun. So we're gonna lay it down and we're gonna see if it looks right compared to the picture he sent me, and if there's any issues, and I'll shoot Chris a message real fast with what it looks like, and we'll sort that out. But this is what we're starting with, our foundation. So now both of our front and our backs are equally the same shade. That way you don't have to worry about your front or your back being a shade off, because the foundation's a different color. So let's get this sprayed out, and then I'll show you all the base coat color. All right, so here's the color we got. As you can see, it kind of changes when you walk around it. If you look at the body line, you got brighter right here and darker. Basically, that's how a lot of high metallic base coat colors are, is they flop in the light. So we're gonna shoot this over to the owner and make sure this is the color they want. There you go. But you can see it's more, camera makes it look like it has a purple hit, but you can tell that it's brighter, you know, in some of the spots. So I think it looks good. I think it would work amazing over the Rainbow Pearl, and you can already see how high the metallics are in it, just, you know, in its base coat state. So it already actually has a rainbow metallics in it. So adding the Rainbow Pearl to it is literally just gonna make this thing hit really hard. All right, so here is our pearls. You can already see the holographic effect to them. We are going to put these in our clear coat. So we're gonna shoot Omni 270 today. This is just a regular production clear. It's nothing super high end over the top. This is what I put on all my jobs, unless it is requested to do a high solids clear or something like this. I really like this clear over a lot of the other clear I have used. Everybody knows, if you're an OG of this channel, that I hate high solids clears, but I will shoot them. So we are going to put it in our clear. And the other option that you have is you can put this stuff in a transparent base coat. So base coat doesn't have a hardener in it. When you're shooting something like a base coat, you know, this is your color, and then your clear coat goes over top of your color. Base coat's your color. Base coat is a 1K product, meaning it's one parts pretty much. I mean, it does have reducer, but there's no hardener in it, whereas clear, you would have a 2K clear, meaning you have your clear coat and your hardener, okay? This is what makes the stuff harden up. So you can buy the clear base coat, which is, I think it's referred to as a binder or a binding agent. Check with your local paint supplier. I don't use them that much, so I don't want to steer you in the wrong direction, but it's basically a clear base coat for putting pearls or metallics or anything like that in there. The reason why you would use a clear base coat is so that you can spray this, because like what we did is we shot our base coat in there, and then we went to lunch. So it's been an hour since I laid my base coat, so it's just sitting in there drying. I can paint over top of that as long as I get it within 24 hours. So if I wait more than 24 hours to spray, let's see here, spray my next coat, and then I will have to sand my base coat for adhesion to make the next coat stick to it. It'll still bond to it as long as it's within a 24-hour window. Your clear coat, being it has a hardener in it, whenever you shoot your clear coat, it's gonna be obviously wet as syrup that you eat on your pancakes, sticky. Once it dries, it's going to dry within a certain window, whether you're using accelerator and that's 5 to 10 minutes or whether it's, 6 hours. To recoat over that again, you have to sand it every time. You can't let it sit. So if you're using a clear base coat, like like I said, I would call it a binding, clear or a blending agent or whatever, then you can let it sit and you can work with it. So if you need to talk to the customer, or if you need to, look at it and see if you need more coats of clear, you're not on a time window as long as it's recoated within 24 hours. Whereas your clear coat, once we shoot the clear, it's going to harden up, let's say in 10 minutes. So we need to be back in there. If our flash time is 10 minutes, we need to be repounding another coat of clear on it within 10 minutes, or we could have issues. Now, some clear, you might wait as much as 20 minutes between coats. So it's going to vary depending on what product you're using and all the different factors that go into clear. So that would be the reason why you would use a clear base coat. Now, in this situation, I know we don't need to talk to the customer. I know what the customer wants. The customer, Chris's wife, has made it perfectly clear that she wants this thing hitting as hard as My Little Pony in the sunlight.
Whoa! With this power, I can do anything! I could easily do a sonic rain boom. Even a double rain boom.
So we're going to go in ham on this thing. Okay, the manufacturers of this recommended like 1 or 2 heaping, I think they said, tablespoons of this in a certain amount of paint. So we are going to shovel this stuff in, and we are going to pound this thing on, because I think if she could have it just the color of that she would be pleased with it, just the color of that. So we're going to pound this stuff on. So therefore, I'm just going to mix it in my clear. My first coat of clear, I am going to over reduce, so that it's not quite as thick, and we're going to kind of dust it on. We're not going to go in there and we're not going to paint our clear like we're actually wetting it out. You do 50% overlap, so we're not going to wet it out like we would actual clear. We're just going to dust it on to get our product down. So let me mix this up in there. I'll show you all this when I crack this open, and then we're going to go put our coat of this stuff on. So I just asked Mike, how about if I open this and sneezed in it? Mike comes in here literally to steal my panel bond gun because he don't want to spend $100 to buy a gun.
56 on eBay.
Yeah, $100 local.
Yeah, well, sneezing.
Tell Mike stop buying that Chinese eBay stuff. Nobody buys it.
Sneezing, I want to see you wear it.
No. So there's what we got.
It's no worse than wearing a whole quart of paint.
Y'all remember that when I spilled all that paint? It's still it's still everywhere. All right, so we're gonna mix up some over-reduced clear and dump. All right, so we over-reduced it. So what we did is 4 to 1 to 1. So we hit the 4 line. We went over it in the other one. So your mixing ratio is 4 to 1 to 1. Here is a 5 to 2 to 1. We're using a 4 to 1 to 1. So our clear coat is 4 parts. We're gonna go to the number 4. So you don't get confused, I'll do some other examples. Say you're going to go with your clear to number 2, then you go to your 1 part of hardener to the number 2, and then 1 part of reducer to the number 2. We chose to go to the 4, so we went 4 parts clear. The parts are just in this column, and then we went our next column, 1 part hardener to our number 4, and then 1 part reducer to our number. What I mean on my over reduced clear, so normally if I would have went to the number 4 clear, 4 hardener, 4 reducer, as you can see, I almost went to the 5 with a reducer. So we have way more than we normally have. So that is a ton of pearls in there. As you can see, it looks like it's crazy thick, so you would think that when you pulled it out that it would just be like baked on the stick, like tons of globby like mess, but it's not. It runs down to the bottom, but you can see in the middle of the stick that's not. So we're gonna get this in the gun and go in there and start doing dust coats over everything, just to equally get it spread out. You don't, like I said, you don't want to hammer it on in your normal 50% overlap pattern, because then you might do streaks. So we're just gonna literally go in there and kind of just fan it, go fast and fan it all over everything. So we are gonna turn our air pressure up a little higher. You'll notice that it's higher on this video than some of the older ones if you watch some of my older videos, and we're going to be moving really fast because it's going to hit the panel really fast and thick. So let me show y'all a couple passes, and then I'm going to put the phone up, that way I can focus on what I'm doing. that is all I'm gonna show y'all because I don't want to mess this up and I need to focus on what I'm doing. But you can see that it's already all over it, a ton of it. So like I said, we are gonna make sure this thing is flaked out, man. There's a good shot right there. You can see it already hitting in the sun or in the light from the booth. So let me put this phone up and let me get this done. So we've got our regular clear just mixed up and put in our paint gun. You do have to clean up really good after this job because as you can see, it is all over the paper, and you need to let your wife know or fiance or whatever beforehand that you're going to be painting with rainbow glitter, because if you wear this crap home, you're going to have some questioning to do. I don't know if you can see it on me. I can see it on me, but I don't know if the camera's picking it up. So I got to go to the dentist here in like 2 hours, and I might have to tell them before I even sit down. That's just really not my thing, wearing rainbow glitter. I'm a painter, and I had to do a really sick golf cart body this morning. So got to let them know that you're not wearing rainbow glitter. If you don't make sure you clean out your guns and your cups and whatever you're using really good, then this could cross-contaminate into your next job, and your next job might be you can see it all over me right there. Your next job might be a black all over, and if it was a black all over, if you were doing some customer job all over that was black and you accidentally left some of this behind in the gun or come off of you onto the job, you weren't wearing a paint suit like I don't do, then you could really ruin a job. And when you go to pull it in the sunlight, the whole thing could literally have rainbow glitter hits in it. So we got our first coat on. We're gonna walk in here and shoot our clear. And I do want to make a correction real fast. I think I kept referring to this as pearl because it's so fine. It's like really, really fine. I mean, you could tell how, let's see here. It's super fine. So normally your pearl is super fine. I forgot that Chris did order a mini flake. So this is a metallic flake. It's just a mini flake. I think unless I can get enough clear on this, we'll actually have to wet sand this after our first. We'll do 3 coats of clear, and then I think I'm probably gonna have to wet sand it and flow coat it, which is pretty common over any metal flake job, because basically flakes are like metal flake is like your glitter. If you think of kids glitter, how it's square and it's flat. And pearl is basically like a grain of sugar. That's the best way for you to understand what it looks like. So the pearls normally lay out really fine and they don't stand up, whereas when you're spraying metal flake, a lot of times they stand up on their side just like this, or they hit in the clear like this or whatever. They don't necessarily flop over. And the little standing up and stuff like that is what creates it where it looks like just a ton of trash in the finish, and it almost looks like really fine sandpaper. And it makes a ton of orange peel. So that's what it's looking like right now on my first coat. I'm gonna let that dry really good. You don't wanna run a first coat of a metal flake job or a pearl job when you have this much on it, because it's gonna distort. It's gonna pull the metallics and the pearls with it, and it's gonna distort that line, and you're gonna see where you ran it. So you wanna make sure you get good coverage on your first coat, but you don't wanna run your first coat or you're gonna disturb the way all the pearls and metallics or whatever you're spraying are sitting. So we're gonna let this one flash off for 8 minutes because I am running accelerator in it, and then we're gonna move on to our second and third coat. And I got a feeling that by the time the third coat lays out, I might have to text Chris and say, hey, we're gonna have to wet sand this and reflow coat it, which I did tell him up front that with the flake jobs that's pretty common, but I felt like with mini flake we might be okay. But it looks like it might have to be done. All right, so there is our pieces coated. That is 4 coats of clear. It still did not cover enough. You can still see what looks like trash, and then of course that develops like an orange peel look in there also. So we're definitely going to flow coat this thing. If you look carefully, you can see right there the orange pilly trash look. Let me see if I can find somewhere where it looks like trash. So it's kind of hard to see in silver, but if you look at it in the reflection of the light as it's going over, you can kind of see like grittiness. So it basically looks like there's grit in the clear coat, and what that is that is the metallics in it. You can see right there. Okay, if you look in the reflection right there, it looks like there's grit, a ton of grit in it. That's just the metallics where they're just not buried. So what we need to do, here's gonna be a good example right there too. If you look all right here. So what we need to do is just go and wet sand everything decent tomorrow, and then come back over and flow coat it. And basically that will make it slick. So we'll go back and wet sand it. That will give us a slick foundation to work on again, and then we'll put our clear on it, and that will lock everything in. But the thing looks absolutely amazing with the sun gun on it. The sun gun is this light, so it simulates what it's going to look like in the sun, but she pops. So when the sun hits this thing, I mean, it's amazing. Pretty cool. But you can see I was trying to show the orange peel where it's just a lot. So we're gonna cut off at least one coat. We got 4 coats on now. We're gonna wet sand off probably at least 1 coat of clear, and then we'll put back on probably 2 flow coats. A flow coat is just where it's over reduced clear to help it lay out. Like I said, it's really common whenever you're doing custom metal flake. But this thing is gonna look absolutely sick when it's all together.